the average handle time thing in terms of call times, we don't measure that in terms of the individual reps either. Actually, I just heard that our longest phone call was almost 6 hours long. So, I'm not sure how the bathroom situation worked for that one, but customers call us for all sorts of different reasons, and actually most of our phone calls don't result in sales. And you may think it's weird for an internet company to focus so much on the telephone when only 5% of our orders actually come from the telephone. But what we found is that on average, every customer calls us at least once sometime during their lifetime. And it's usually not to buy a pair of shoes or to buy anything. Maybe it's their first time going through the returns process and they just want a little help stepping through that. Or maybe they have a wedding this weekend to go to and they just want some fashion advice. And then I think we have some customers that call us and I think they're just lonely and just want someone to talk to. We're happy to do that as well. So, I talk about all this stuff in terms of customer service, but customer service is actually not our #1 priority. Our company culture is. And our whole belief is that if we get the culture right, then most of the other stuff like delivering great customer service or building a long-term enduring brand will just happen naturally on its own. So here are some of the things that we do for culture, and it actually starts with the hiring. Everyone that's hired in, doesn't matter what position, you can be an accountant, software developer, we do 2 sets of interviews. The hiring manager, his or her team, will interview for the standard, looking for fit within the team, relevant experience, technical ability, and so on. But then our HR department does a separate set of interviews purely for culture fit. And they have to pass both in order to be hired. So we've actually passed on a lot of really smart, talented people that we know can make an immediate impact on our top or bottom line. But if they're not a culture fit, we won't hire them. And the reverse is true too. We will fire people, even if they're doing their specific job function perfectly fine, if they're bad for the culture. And our performance reviews are 50% based on whether you're living or inspiring the culture in others. The other thing we do is everyone that's hired into our headquarters in Las Vegas goes through this 5-week training program. One of the weeks is you go to Kentucky, which is where our warehouse is, and you do all the different warehouse functions, picking, packing, shipping, receiving, and so on. But when you first start, it's a 4-week training program, and it's the exact same training program for everyone, whether you're an accountant, software developer, or call center rep. And we go over company history, the importance of company culture, our philosophy about customer service, and then you're actually on the phone for 2 weeks taking calls from customers. And the reason we do that is because if we're serious about building our brand to be about the very best customer service, then customer service shouldn't just be a department, it should be the entire company. And the other great thing about it is during our busy Q4 holiday season, people from all the different departments can and do hop on the phones to help with the load. The other thing we do during the training program is during the first week, at the end of the first week, we make an offer to everyone in the new hire class. And the offer is this: we will pay you for the time you've already spent training, plus a bonus of $2,000 to quit and leave the company right now. And that's actually a standing offer until the end of the training program, and we actually just extended it a couple months after that. And the original reason for doing it was because if someone wasn't really committed to the company, didn't really feel like this was the right culture for them, we didn't want them there just to get a paycheck. And in Las Vegas, starting pay for a call center rep is $11 an hour. There's plenty of other call centers in Vegas, so $2,000 is a pretty significant amount of money. Well, in 2007, when we started this, about 3% of people took the offer. 2008, 1% of people took the offer. I don't think anyone took it in 2009. And so the offer started out at $100, and we actually keep upping the offer because we feel like not enough people are taking the offer. So, the original thought was, okay, we can use this to weed out the people that, 6 months down the line, we're going to either be fired or we're going to leave on their own anyways because they weren't as committed to the company. But something we didn't expect actually ended up being the biggest benefit for this. And the biggest benefit actually came from the people that didn't accept the offer. Because they still had to go home and think, over the weekend, talk to their friends and family and ask themselves, is this a company that I really believe in? Do I believe in the long-term vision of this company? Is this a company whose core values and culture I want to be a part of? And after thinking about it over the weekend and deciding they're going to walk away from an easy $2,000, what we found was that on Monday, they were that much more committed and engaged and passionate. And that is and continues to be by far the biggest benefit from that. We also have a culture book, and this is different from the book that you guys have, and it's something we put out once a year. And we ask all our employees to write a few paragraphs about what the Zappos culture means to them. And except for typos, it's unedited. So it includes the good and the bad. It's kind of like when you go to Amazon and you see the customer reviews of products. These are essentially employee reviews of the company. And I'll actually give my contact information later on in this, and happy to send everyone here a free culture book if you want one. And the other thing is we're very active on Twitter. We teach Twitter to new employees during that new hire training, and then it's up to them afterwards whether they want to use it or not, continue using it or not. And we actually have about 500 employees that are on Twitter. If you go to twitter.zappos.com, you can click the link to see the 500 employees, and then there's a link there where we aggregate the tweets of all our different employees that are on Twitter. And you can see the conversation there. It's very rarely about work. It's about what they did this weekend, or they're hungry, or whatever. And we've really found it's a great way to build culture, because you get to know each other in a different context. You might find out through Twitter that the person that's 3 rows down from you, who you don't get to regularly talk to when hiking, and if you're also a hiker, then you now have something to talk about, and maybe even go hiking together. So in terms of how we're thinking of the Zappos brand, at least over the next several years, is we're really thinking of it in terms of what we call the 3 C's: clothing, customer service, and company culture. And we really think of this as kind of the life cycle of the customer. So customers that have never heard of Zappos, don't even know, what we do or who we are. We want to make sure that they understand that we have a great selection of clothing and shoes and a whole bunch of other product categories. Once they know that we have a great selection, then we want them to know that we're all about delivering the very best customer service. And that's not something that we tell them so much as they experience when they call our call center. Or the other thing we do is, for most of our loyal repeat customers, we will do surprise upgrades of overnight shipping. And we run our warehouse 24/7, which actually is not the most efficient way to run a warehouse. The most efficient way to run a warehouse is to let the orders pile up, so when the picker's walking around the warehouse, there's higher picking density and they don't need to walk as far. But we're not trying to maximize for warehouse efficiency, we're trying to maximize for the customer experience. And because we do those surprise upgrades, and because our warehouse is 15 minutes away from the UPS hub in Louisville, Kentucky, and because of all of those things combined, a lot of customers actually order as late as midnight Eastern, and the shoes show up on the doorstep 8 hours later, and that creates this whole wow effect, and they tell their friends and family about this. And people ask us, isn't that expensive? How can we afford to do free shipping both ways? And how can we afford to do surprise upgrades to overnight shipping? And the answer is yes, it's very expensive, but it goes back to we'd much rather spend our, what would have been the paid marketing or paid advertising dollars there, instead of spending it on the paid advertising and marketing that most companies normally do. And so, and then once customers realize that, okay, we're all about really taking care of the customer, delivering the very best customer service, then we want them to know about our culture and our core values, because that's really the platform that makes everything possible. So we've actually had customers email us and describe that when they get that perfect outfit or perfect pair of shoes, that Zappos is happiness in a box. So whether it's the happiness that customers feel when they get that perfect outfit or perfect pair of shoes, or the happiness that customers feel when they somehow get that surprise upgrade to overnight shipping, or talk to our customer service reps, or the happiness that employees feel by being part of a culture where the company's core values match their own personal values. The thing that kind of ties all of these things together is that Zappos is really just about delivering happiness, whether it's to customers or employees, and we apply that same philosophy to our vendors as well. So I wanted to talk about 2 books that we really believe in a lot at Zappos, and we actually make these, we actually have this thing called the Zappos Library in our reception area, and it's actually not a standard lending library, it's actually a giving library. And so we have tons and tons of books, books like Good to Great and Tribal Leadership, that we give away to employees and to visitors, anyone that comes for a tour. We say, here are some books we recommend, and take whatever